Together, Senator Senator Schumer, we talk a lot on this show about how Americans don't really get the headlines, that over the past year there's been remarkable bipartisan cooperation in the United States Senate. There have been a lot more bills passed, whether you're talking about vets care, whether you're talking about infrastructure. You guys could go down the list better than me, but you guys are here in another example of bipartisanship on an important issue. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, we had a forum yesterday, an Insight Forum, bipartisan, led by Mike Rounds, myself, Senator Young, and a Republican, Senator Heinrich, a Democrat, where we started talking about how we're going to tackle AI. AI is one of the most difficult things for a congressional body to tackle because it is so complicated and technical. It is so wide-ranging. It's going to affect just about every aspect of our society, and it's changing. But we have to act. And so Mike and I decided that we would have to have a forum. We invited the experts there on both sides of the equation, some who had set up AI systems, some who had been very critical. And before 70 senators, we had a discussion. And one of the best things that happened, a seminal moment, I think, in history, I asked all participants on both sides of the question, do we need the federal government to be involved in setting up some guardrails on AI? And universal agreement.
Yeah, Senator Rounds. I just want to say, Senator Rounds, as a conservative, I've always been wary of a mass accumulation of power, whether it was in big government, whether it was in big Wall Street corporations, big banks, whether it was in big tech. Here, it seems like we have some of the most powerful people in the world who are unaccountable in Silicon Valley, who are telling us, hey, just trust us. Just trust us. Stay away. We'll take care of it ourselves. I take it you're not willing to just close your eyes and just trust them that they're going to do the right thing on AI.
Actually, what they told us yesterday is the guidelines are necessary, but they also said, look, if you're going to referee something, you've got to have expertise, and that means that you've got to bring in people that understand AI. And that's where we have this bipartisan approach, which says, if we're going to do it, let's do this right. Let's not hurry into it. But we understand that you need experts who understand AI that can help policymakers. We don't necessarily have that type of expertise available to us right now and in place. Part of the discussion is going to be, do you go on out, do you find it in the universities, do you find it in the national laboratories, and do you provide that to each one of those policy-making bodies that already is within the federal government? Whether you're talking about the judiciary stuff, the commerce stuff, armed services, intel, all of those separate committees are going to want the expertise. And well, there isn't enough of that to go around to everybody. Can you put it in one location, or can you set up a body such as the standards testing group that would perhaps provide some of that expertise? And I think that's part of the discussion that we're having. Getting a little bit into the weeds, but that's the way we need to do it if we're going to do it correctly.
Joe, I think everyone in the room realized, and we had tough critics there. We had Liz Shuler from the AFL-CIO. We had Maya Wiley of the Civil Rights Conference. But everyone realized if we don't do anything, then the lowest common denominator might occur. Things would go to the bottom in terms of job loss, in terms of inequities and inequalities, even in terms of a system going rogue and really hurting humanity. So the need for some kinds of guardrails, serious guardrails, is something that everyone agreed to. Now it'll be our job on a bipartisan basis to come up with those. But there's certainly a lot of good that can come out of AI, curing cancer, curing world hunger, dealing with our national security. But there's a lot of bad that could come out too, and our job, difficult as it will be, is to maximize the benefits but also minimize the very real harms.
Senator Rounds, good morning. There has been a sense in recent years, as technology has moved so fast, that when these social media executives come in there, they sort of take their medicine from you all in Congress and then they go on with their work, which is to say that there's so many steps ahead, there's no real legislation that can slow down exactly or contain what they do. You had Elon Musk in there, you had Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, the brightest minds. Are you confident that legislation from Washington actually can rein in AI?
I think there's two parts to it. First of all, there's an incentive on their part to try to get it as light as possible because they want to be able to expand. But the other piece of this is they want America to be the leading location. This is where they want to be. They don't want to have China lead. They don't want to have Russia lead. And if that's the case, then that means that we've got to be able to put a framework in place that will invite the type of intellect and expertise to stay in America. So there's a value to them to making this work appropriately. In other words, if they want to grow and expand, America is the place where it's got to be. And they understand that if we don't have some sort of guidelines, then pretty soon there's a challenge of transparency and of privacy. And then the lid really comes down hard. I think they'd rather have a reasonable approach than to have a knee-jerk reaction later on that really damages them and perhaps chases AI development overseas.
The worst alternative would be to do nothing. And our resolution in a bipartisan way is to do something. And we told them there are going to be some things we do that they're not going to like. But we have no choice. AI is so deep, even deeper than tech was when it started, that if we don't do something, it could get out of control.
I don't think people realize how deep AI is right now within our military. I mean, look, on the battlefield today, AI is being used not just by us, but by our adversaries. We have to stay on top of it. We have to have the best AI capabilities in the world. And so this isn't something that we can shy away from. It's not something that's going to go away. And as the leader says, it is something that we have to address. But most certainly, we have to remain the best in the world on AI development.